has inherent dignity and the right to have that dignity respected and protected. Honorable members, in light of the foregoing, the petitioner seeks the intervention of the National Assembly in repealing Section 226 of the Penal Code, Cap 63, to decriminalize attempted suicide. Having determined that the matters raised by the petitioner are well within the authority of this House, and further, that the matters raised in this petition are not pending before any court of law, constitutional or legal body, I hereby commit the petition to the Public Petitions Committee for consideration pursuant to Standing Order 208A. The committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioner in accordance with the Standing Orders 2272. Yes, Julius Sunguli, you want to speak to this?
Yes.
You don't have to stand up. You simply wait and I can invite you to speak. What I don't understand for lawyers like Murugara is whether everybody who attempts suicide is a psychiatric case or a mental patient.
Not necessarily.
Yes.
Not necessarily that way. I think there may be circumstances away from mental illness that may force one to do this. There needs to be an examination. Sometimes it may also be criminal. To try and avoid the due process, you want to kill yourself quickly because you've committed a more serious and heinous offense.
Sunguli.
So we'll look at this.
Yes. Honorable Julius Sunguli.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge, I would like to support this petition and urge the committee to actually consider matters that will lead to legislating on this matter. Mr. Speaker, attempted suicide is one of those, I think, two offenses where when you attempt to do an offense and you don't succeed, then you are punished.
Because if you succeed, then you will not be there to be punished.
Mr. Speaker, but in the United Kingdom, as you know, suicide itself used to be punished. That once you commit suicide, your property was taken by the state and your inheritance was destroyed. But in 1961, the United Kingdom decriminalized suicide, and later on they decriminalized attempted suicide. Our society is so complex now, we don't even know why people are killing themselves. But the majority of the people who are killing themselves are not people who really want to die, but they are people just who don't want to live because their lives are becoming so desperate. There is a difference between wanting to die and not wanting to live, because if there was an alternative, they would take it. Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we use the opportunity of psychiatric knowledge to try and cure the ills that are in our society. People are killing themselves. In Kilgoris, for instance, and the rest of the places, and pastoralist places, the way people kill themselves is by taking cattle dip, the acaricide that you use for killing ticks. This is becoming so common. And to get a person who is already in problems and who has just survived death, and then you want to come and imprison that person, I think it is not doable. Let us be a more understanding society and decriminalize attempted suicide, and as indeed the suicide itself has been decriminalized.
If suicide is complete, there's no criminal, Julius. I don't know what you're
Mr. Speaker, you were speaking to the other member, but I'd say that in the United Kingdom,
yes,
you are punished if you committed suicide,
yes,
because your property would be taken away, yes, and your inheritance would be vanquished. But now it's no longer an offense in Britain. It's not an offense in Kenya. Attempted suicide shouldn't be an offense punishable at all, but should be a case for doctors to handle and for society to see how to cushion distressed members, because we are all suffering from depression.
Herman, health. Take 2 minutes each.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the petition by Professor Atwoli, the Professor of Psychiatry. Honorable Speaker, attempted suicide is a mental illness. And being a mental illness, I think it should not be criminalized. These are people who require treatment, and they require more so either psychological or psychiatric treatment. Honorable Speaker, as the committee looks into that, we also have cases of judges and magistrates admitting patients to mental hospitals, where you will find that the judge declares that a patient be admitted to Mathare Mental Hospital, and once they have been admitted to Mathare Mental Hospital, you wonder how that patient, once he's gotten well, is going to be discharged, because we have people who have stayed permanently in Mathare Mental Hospital, and that is a serious case. And even you wonder who should be paying the bill, because I think as the committee looks into it, they need to even go further so that they look at, because it should be the doctor who is admitting to Mathare, and once the patient is fit to stand trial, then the doctor discharges from Mathare to court so that the court can now sentence that person, instead of admitting to the Mathare and the person stays in Mathare forever. So, Honorable Speaker, I think these are many issues that I think the committee will need to look into it, and if possible, they should be able to invite Professor Atwoli, invite also the CEO of Mathare Mental Hospital, because there are many issues that deals with mental illness. And I'm also willing to also appear before the committee so that we can shed more light on that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also would like to support the petition and say that in the last Parliament, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights also sent a petition to this House, urging this House to amend Section 226 of the Penal Code to decriminalize attempted suicide. Honorable Speaker, science has shown that people who are mentally stable do not end their lives or attempt to end their lives. And therefore, if there's anybody who is attempting to end their lives, they basically, essentially have a mental condition. So what they really require is to be given treatment. So to prosecute such people in courts, Honorable Speaker, is not justifiable. And I want to agree with the petitioners that this House needs to make that consideration and decriminalize the section of the penal code that allows it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Honorable Speaker, I stand to oppose this petition, and I want to oppose it vehemently. Life in the Constitution is described as sacred. It should be preserved. It is illegal to take the life of another person, same as it is illegal to take your life. You know, why would you want to jail someone for taking another person's life, for attempting to take another person's life? But when one person wants to take his life, you say it is okay. I think God meant people to live, not to be killed or to kill themselves. And they have to die at a certain situation where it must happen by God's grace or God's will. But Honorable Speaker, if we decriminalize attempted suicide in this country, we will be picking people in the streets, so many of them, having killed themselves. We must ensure that every Kenyan looks at life from... Why do we oppose abortion then? Why do we say we are pro-life as a country? But here we're saying that we want to decriminalize a situation where someone takes away. Honorable Speaker, as a Christian and as a person that believes that life is sacred and must be preserved, I oppose this petition, and I want to ask this House never to pass a law like that. Yes, we'll stand to be judged. And I think the Christian fraternity needs to come out and tell Atwoli he is wrong to say those things. And I want to stand with all other Christians in the world that believe that we are pro-life, we must preserve life and let life go because God has willed, but not because man has willed that that person must die. That I will stand, and even when they bring I will oppose it, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, the member at the back, is that member for Mwalio? Yes, Honorable Mwalio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in one of the 10 commandments, the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. And therefore, even killing yourself is an offense and it is a sin. So we should not set an example, because people will say Parliament has already passed that petition for them to kill themselves, and they will kill themselves very many because we have passed it in this house. So I oppose that petition.
Member for Kirinyaga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think we missed the point when we do not understand where the petition is coming from. We passed in the last Parliament a very robust law on mental health. Unfortunately, we have not had the capacity to fully implement the same. There's a joke that goes around, Honorable Speaker, that in heaven there's no beer. I do not think any person of sane mind would want to take their life away. There has been medical data that mental illnesses for a very long time in the African society have not been addressed adequately, because even in the village, we used to say, quote unquote, yule mwenda wazimu. We do not understand that in the 21st century, it is a disease like any other. It is a condition that must be addressed medically. These people undergo clinical testing. They see therapists. Honorable Speaker, I can tell you it is very expensive in this country to see a therapist. A local person in Kirinyaga County, a local resident, cannot afford 3,000 Kenya shillings per session of 1 hour to see a therapist. Mental health must be addressed by this Parliament, the 13th Parliament, adequately. The Ministry of Health must also fund county governments to address issues of mental health adequately. We are not sanctioning or saying that people should take away their lives. We are saying these people need help. Let us come up with solutions to help them so that they stay here longer with us. And like we all know, we wait for the time when the Lord decides. So let us address the concerns of mental health without bringing in religion or saying that this house or that petition would be sanctioning somebody taking away their life. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Ochanda.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I know Professor Lukoyo personally, and I know how much he's been into this for a while. Mr. Speaker, committing suicide generally is understood that it's never instant. There is a process before it. There are many things that have happened before one decides to take his life or her life. That is generally understood to be so. But then there are situations where we look at extreme anger. Somebody who is extremely angered by whatever and says, no, can't face this anymore and commits suicide. Oh, my mic is gone. This is something that needs to be looked at differently. So I think in my view, what the petition ought to have looked at is, can we subject the issues of suicide to processes before one commits suicide? And I think that's when it will make a lot of sense. Otherwise, the whole issue of life is also very important. That it's not good that one takes away their lives on their own, even if it's by somebody else or by their own. But then, the most critical thing is, most situations where we have issues of suicide are followed by many other incidents, many other activities, many other processes that by the end of the day, one concludes that I don't want to face this anymore and I have to commit suicide. So I think we need to have those breaks in between so that before we end up saying that you attempted to commit suicide and that is looked at in isolation, the petition wants to look at it in terms of a process. What leads you to that kind of a situation where you want to commit suicide? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Yes. Member for Tambaj. Yes, go ahead, honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You normally don't sit around here.
Yes,
yes.
I'm always on that other end.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Yes.
I wish to add my voice to this petition that is presented about people attempting suicide. I believe the petition holds substance and deserves my support, in the sense that when somebody attempts suicide, there are many factors which led him to take that position. So if the person survived if he survived attempting suicide, I think we should sympathize with that person. He should not be punished for that attempt. We really do not know what has led him to that. I think that is someone who should be sympathized with, given a lot of counseling and support, but not punished. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is no data, there is no information at all that criminalizing suicidal attempt has improved or reduced suicidal attempt. But what I want to say is that sometimes we use money or funds in wrong interventions. Instead of taking that person to prison and leaving all this entire household in a more abject poverty, it is more improving the suicidal ideation, which can result into attempt, more than if you leave this person in the household and have some measures, which I'm suggesting, my chair is listening, that instead of Madari, we decentralize mental services to the primary health care so that they can be addressed at the household and also dispensaries and health centers. Because, Mr. Speaker, speaking the truth, suicidal ideation and attempts, and some are completed, is an epidemic because people are not really surviving. It's not like Sunkuli says that they don't want to live. I think they can't live. They see that they can't live, that's why they take their life. So I support the petitioner. I think we should decentralize mental health to primary health care.
Lisa Chelule. Give Honorable Chelule the mic.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipatia hii nafasi pia mimi nichangie ombi ambaye imeletwa katika bunge hili na daktari moja katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na ni mambo ambayo inahusu mauaji ya watu ama mtu binafsi kuchukua nafasi.
Hiyo si Kiswahili sanifu, kujitia kitanzi. Kujitia kitanzi.
Okay, kutisia.
Au kujaribu kujitia kitanzi.
Okay. Ninaongea juu ya mwenye anaweza kuuawa ama mwenye anaamua kuchukua kujitia kitanzi. Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kabla mtu hajaamua kujiua ama kujitia kitanzi, kuna sababu fulani ambaye imemfanya afanye hivyo. Hivyo nataka kusema hiyo ni shida ya ugonjwa na pengine ni shida ya akili. Bwana Spika, inafaa tutofautishe vitu viwili. Katika Biblia, Mungu amesema mtu afai kujiua ama kuua mwenzake. Mtu afai kukufa sababu ya suicide ama kujitia kitanzi ama kuamua kuua mtu mwingine, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo kuna mambo mawili hapa Bwana Spika. Kuna mambo ya kujiua ama kujitia kitanzi ama kuua mtu mwingine, na kuna mambo ambayo inahusu akili, kama mtu ako na shida ya akili yake, ako mgonjwa, anafaa kupelekwa hospitali. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, tukisema yule mtu anajiua ama kujitia kitanzi ama kuua mtu mwingine anafaa kupelekwa hospitali kwanza, sawa kupelekwa hospitali, lakini watu wengine kwa hasira ama kwa chuki anaweza kuchukua hii nafasi kuua mwenzake. Kwa hivyo sisemi nitapinga ama naweza kusema ninapinga ombi hilo. Lazima ichunguzwe kwanza. Kuna mambo mawili ambayo imechangia shida ambayo imeletwa katika bunge hili. Asante Bwana Spika.
On that.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are many factors that could precipitate suicide. And the owner of this petition or the drafter of the petition has only taken one angle, which is mental incapacitation, Honorable Speaker. So I think, Honorable Speaker, life being so sacrosanct, this House cannot administer an easier process that leads to extermination of life. I do believe that judges and magistrates, before they make a final determination as to the guilt or otherwise of an accused person, they usually recommend for mental examination before that decision is made.
Only in homicide cases.
Only in homicide. Therefore, even if this House would make changes to that effect, then that medical examination should also include cases of suicide, Honorable Speaker. But we are not going to allow Kenyans to take out their lives at will, because basically that is what this petition is intended to achieve. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member for Wajir West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to oppose this motion.
It's a petition.
I mean to oppose this bill or proposal or petition. Mr. Speaker, Islamically, suicide is not allowed. And if I quote the Honorable, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, indeed, whoever intentionally kills himself, then certainly he will be punished in the hellfire. Mr. Speaker, if God himself decided to punish those who commit suicide, as human beings, we have no power to not to punish them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe anybody who is taking his own soul should be punished, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I oppose the petition. Thank you.
Yes, member for Kamkunji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the petition by Professor Tuoli on this particular critical issue of suicides. And I want this House not to mix people's religious beliefs and our ability to legislate justice for all our citizens. You know, people who are committing suicide are mostly people with mental illness, people who are not psychologically balanced, people who have problems in their own lives and feel that it's not worth living life on earth. So to bring in biblical or Quranic verses in order to oppose it is rather out of place. And I think we should decriminalize and make sure that, in fact, the patients who survive get the medical attention that they need psychologically and get the necessary help that they need. I had some member of parliament say that, in fact, we will be encouraging more people to commit suicide. But even if you took someone who is not balanced and who has survived to prison, they can still hang themselves in prison. There's no deterrent. So I think we should give them the support that they need. We should protect them, and we should make sure that, in fact, they get cured so that they can enjoy living a happy and a wonderful life in Kenya and on this world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Rueda, you'll be the last on this.
Bwana Spika, mimi nataka sisi hapa bunge tuwe makini sana. Na sioni kama ni sawa tukisema sisi tusifate dini. Katiba yetu inatambua dini zote. Tunasema hivi, Bwana Spika, katika Uislamu kujiweka kitanzi ni katika dhambi kubwa sana. Na naamini kwa Biblia ni hivyo hivyo. Lakini pia Qurani inasema mtu yule haandikiwi madhambi ni watu watatu. Ni mtu yule ambaye hana akili mpaka wakati wake akili itakapokurudi, na pia mtoto mdogo, na mwingine ni yule amelala mpaka atakapokuamka. So kama kutakuwa na njia hapo ya kuhakikisha kweli hana akili then hapo tunasema hana dhambi. Lakini kuna watu wanatumia hizi nafasi, hata mtu akikosana na bwanake ameoa bibi mwingine, sisi wengine angalau tunakubali wanne, lakini kuna wengine wakiolewa tu mmoja, anakunywa, anajifanya amekunywa, hataki, ni drama tu anafanya, kumbe hiyo anafaa kuwa punished. So kuna mambo mengine hapo yasiingizwe katikati mtu akatumia hiyo advantage. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Okay, the petition is committed to the Committee on Public Petitions. Is Nimrod here? They report back in 60 days. Honorable members, before the next order, honorable members, order. Honorable members, allow me, on my behalf and on your behalf, to welcome back to the House your colleague from Isiolo North, the Honorable Samal, who has been battling with some ailment for several months and has missed attending this House for close to a year. We thank God that he is now recuperating properly. He still has some challenges, but he's come to see the Speaker and informed the Speaker that he's now able to attend the House at least minimally for 20-30 minutes to an hour per session. And we all must wish him a quick recovery so that he can continue discharging his duties on behalf of the electorate of Isiolo North. Honorable Samal, welcome back, and we wish you quick recovery.